Go ahead. All right. March 8th, 2017. We're at Terrio's Conoco in Breaux Bridge. Wanted to demonstrate the cutting of a core, collection of Encore samples, use of the PID jars and the PID. Can you see the core pretty good there? Okay. You see the core is in a liner. It's been brought to us. Top to the left, bottom to the right. That's a standard setup that we always use. I'm going to use the core cutter. We've got clean foil here to lay it out on. Okay, exposing the core now. You can see that we've got a core full of sand. We're in a deep zone from 45 to 49 right here, but we're only going to sample 45 to 47. We had talked about doing 2-foot intervals during the Encore field trip, so that's what we're going to do. The driller just over pushed to ensure that we had enough sample volume for this depth right here. So I'm going to take the point out. This is part of the closed shoe geoprobe system that ensures that we get a good core with no cross-contamination from above or below. We talked about a little bit about that at the Encore field trip. So now I'm going to get I'm just going to do 1 jar for PID readings. I want to represent this 2-foot interval. We just had that for extra volume. So we're getting a little bit of the core of the sand that we're in. I'm going to break it up so that if there are volatiles on it, the volatiles will collect in the jar. Got these foil squares to cover the jar and seal it. These are our PID jars. Following Appendix B requirements right here. Set that to the side. Now, in accordance with EPA method 5035, we have to collect the Encores as soon as we can after exposing the core. So you can see I'm putting the Encore in a T-handle, pushing the piston in, depressing the piston with my finger. And because it's a loose sand, I'm going to just push it, and I have clean gloves on. Trim it off on the top. And there's slots right here that the cap goes on. Push it down, turn it. And there's an O-ring in here that seals at the top. So now I'm going to release it, and I'm going to use this little slot on the side to lock it. So that locks the piston, so everything's sealed, and that's approximately 5 grams of soil. So for each sample, for volatile analysis, we're going to do 3 of these, is what DEQ allows for and pays for, and the lab can work with that. So this is a box full of open Encores that we just have in excess. $11 a piece, remember that, $11 a piece.
Good bonus question.
And the head of the trust fund was here today observing all of this earlier, and he's amazed by how much Encores cost as well. But that's what EPA requires, so that's what the states have to do. Seal it. So I got my 3. So I'm going to put it in a foil bag. I'm going to label it. This is B3B, and it's B because it's the 3rd time we've been at this location. The first time was B3, second time was 3A, now we're at B3B, and this is 45 to 47. And the time of collection is 1431. That's date. I put time 1431, and today is 3/8/17. Oh yeah, analysis is gonna. Okay, I'm just gonna Lane and I usually jot what the analysis is. This is gonna be for BTEX and MTBE, common gasoline constituents by method 8260,
VPH.
And we're also going to have VPH potentially, but we're going to hold. Oh no, we are running VPH. That's a Massachusetts method. Okay, so we got that. We're going to put these. It's like a little. It's like a aluminum foil pouch with a zip.
A small ziplock.
Zips it real good and seals it. And we got to put that on the ice right away. So I'm putting it in an ice chest over here. That's full of ice. I'm going to try to keep it at 4 degrees centigrade. Alright, now I'm going to do a soil description. And I'm going to jot it down. Normally Lane would write this on the soil boring log over here, which is in his book.
I'll go look, put it.
But I'm going to jot it down on foil, and then Lane's going to transfer that. So I'm using the penetrometer. Okay. I'm going to depress the penetrometer into the soil to that line right there. That way, and I do that every time to get consistent, comparable readings. So I'm reading the top of the ring, which is, I take it back. I'm reading, no, I am reading, I'm sorry, I'm reading the top of the ring, 0.5. Okay. On that one, get one more. 0.2, top of the ring. Okay, so I got my 2 penetrometer readings. I'm just going to jot them. 0.5 and 0.2. And then Lane, like I said, he's going to transfer this. I'll put these back in the box, don't need them. And then now I'm just going to describe this first 2 feet. So I'm using my knife. Get out of the way. Obviously this is very homogeneous sand, but I'm just doing this to demonstrate. If we'd have a lot, oh, there is a little clay right there that carried through, a little clast, probably a clast that was rolling along in the sand. So I've got my sand, you can maybe hear the knife scratching. Okay, so I'm going to call this, I'm going to describe this, and I'm going to say that it's the 45 to 47 foot interval, in parentheses is how we'll put it on the log, and it is obviously a gray, and I'm going to call it a silty sand, and I'm going to call it SP, a poorly sorted silty sand. Pretty good grain size. I'll probably go with fine grained on that, just based on experience. I do have a grain size chart, but I don't have it with me right now. Fine grained, I can tell that looking at the soil, it's wet. The grains are sticking together. It's loose, obviously. And the last thing I can say about this is, oh, there's a brown clay clast at base. Now we want to talk about odors, and there's no odors. I'm getting no odors from this. And we're on a gasoline site, so it's assumed that it's hydrocarbon odors. We don't have to say hydrocarbon odors. So no odors. DEQ knows what we're talking about. We're here because of a gasoline release, so we're not getting odors of gasoline, so that's it. Normally, if Lane wasn't filming, he'd be sitting over there and he'd be putting it directly onto the soil boring log. Alright, and then the last thing we need to do is we captured the Encores, and I now also need to capture a jar for doing lead analysis, because the old gasoline that they sold here that leaked from the 50s to the 70s contained lead. It was leaded gasoline. So DEQ wants us to check for lead in the soil. So I'm going to label the top of this, and Lane is later going to put a paper label. 3B, 45 to 47. We will also we'll ask the lab to hold volume as well, because we could do what they call secondary testing, which is called synthetic precipitation leaching procedure. And Kate, our engineer, may decide that that's necessary if the initial testing from this sample comes back hot. There's secondary testing. Tiffany mentioned some of that in her recap talk. So I'm going to seal this. Teflon line lid. This was actually the old way that we would capture for volatiles as well. But now we just do metals and we do secondary testing. And like I say, we'll put this on ice and Lane's going to label this. I want to just come show them your logs, how it's laid out, Lane, real quick, and then that'll be good. Oh, we can show them the PID too. This has been simple. So what we'll do is we have the jar that's sealed with the foil. We'll turn this on. This is the PID that I talked about in class. It's very important that you guys know what this instrument is because of the importance of it to a site investigation like this. Okay. This is what's we're going to use to screen the soils for total petroleum hydrocarbons and parts per million by volume, ppmv. So you can see it's at a low level, background level. Let's see. Let's see if I can kind of clear it out. See how we're in the trailer. See how the numbers are dropping. We're going to get back down to as low as we can get with the meter. 0.1. It's hovering. Sometimes you, with the electronics and whatnot, you get a little bit of background, but so we're hovering around there. If we, let's see. Let me just see if I can get a little bit better. Let's see. I restarted it. See if that makes any difference with our background. We're inside our trailer right now. 0.1. Okay, not too bad. If we have gasoline, we're going to be reading much higher than this. So 0.1 is pretty good. All right, so I'm going to tap this so that the soil falls to the bottom of the bag. And I'm going to punch this and I'm watching the numbers. 0.3. Essentially 0. We're at the background level. So we got 0.3. So we're clean in this sand right here. And Lane will show this on the log. This is the top part of this core that he's already logged and we've sampled and looked at, and now he's going to enter the information I've jotted on the foil right here with a low-level PID. So that's pretty much. We're just going to want to do a little bit better explanation of logging of a core and collection of the samples than what we did for the Encore field trip. Thank you very much.